In episode 3, the police officer, whose name is John Ho, follows the vehicles and he gets to a pier. And he watches one by one as a bunch of vans load onto a freighter. He knows he has to get onto that freighter. So as the vans are waiting in a line, he just hitches a ride on the last one, and nobody notices. Once the freighter gets out to sea, all of a sudden, the doors on each van open up. And it gives John Ho an opportunity to see what exactly is going on. When he looks inside, he sees a bunch of people that are knocked out. So he jumps in one of the vans and he pretends to be knocked out. And that's when the workers start coming around and scanning the earlobes of each person. Because they must have put a tracking device in there somehow that gives them the information on the contestant. But when the worker comes to John Ho, there is no information because there's no tracking device. And that's when John Ho chokes him out and kills him. He then switches outfits with the guy, so now it looks like John Ho is one of the workers, and he dumps the body overboard. Now, he is almost caught. A couple of the workers notice what he's doing, and they walk up to him and say, "What the hell's going on here?" But John Ho, acting quick on his feet, just says, "I have seasickness." And they say, "All right, well, get upstairs. We got work to do." But now John Ho has his in. As for the rest of the contestants, they're loaded up on the island, and they're stripped down, just like they were the first time. Their clothes, their jewelry, watches, shoes, they're all put aside, and they're replaced with numbered t-shirts and green jumpsuits. For someone like the thief, she has to pretend the entire time that she's knocked out, but she's not. Upstairs, one of the workers who has a square as his symbol tells the front man that out of the 201 contestants, 187 players have returned, which is a really, really good number. But the front man isn't satisfied, and he tells the worker, well, keep track of the ones who didn't return. For the contestants, though, once they wake up, they kind of know the drill at this point. For Song, he's pretty surprised to see some people. He didn't expect to see Sang-woo, but he's here. And the old man, contestant number 1, he didn't expect to see Seong. They also end up meeting up with the guy that saved Song's life, who also was helped out by Sang-woo. He's contestant number 199 in your program, but ladies and gentlemen, he is Ali. All right, sorry. Anyway, all of them agree that they probably should form an alliance to help each other out. It might benefit them if they know what children's games are coming up next, and if they recognize it, maybe it could be their advantage. So all 4 of them form an alliance. But they aren't the only ones getting reacquainted and possibly forming an alliance. The first time the thief and contestant 101 found themselves in this room, contestant 101 was beating the shit out of the thief. She used to work for him. Seems like she kind of ripped him off, and he, being a little bit of a street kingpin, has quickly garnered up some minions, and he wants her to join. But she has no interest in doing it. And she warns his minions, be careful of this guy. He used to pick his minions' pockets to fill his own wallet. This really pisses off contestant 101, and he wants to go after the thief, but they get interrupted by contestant 212. She starts hitting on 101 pretty hard. She wants to form an alliance, and contestant 101 has some other ideas. They involve sex with her. He says some crude things to her. She takes it because ultimately she wants to be on his side, not against him. But in reality, she doesn't like the guy at all. She also does not like the thief. She finds her annoying. Especially when that night, contestant 212 is banging on the door because she has to go to the bathroom. The problem is it's after curfew. The workers aren't supposed to let the contestants out to do anything. All they're supposed to be doing right now is sleeping, but she's putting up a pretty big commotion. And finally, one of the workers opens the door and he's about to allow her, and that's when the thief jumps ahead of her and says, "I need to go to the bathroom too." And contestant 212 is pissed off, but both women head to the bathroom. Now, the reason why contestant 212 wanted to go to the bathroom wasn't because she actually wanted to go. Contestant 212 snuck something in. Buried deep in her body was a capsule filled with about 4 cigarettes and a lighter. Hey, she needs her fix. But she's not the only one who snuck something in. The thief snuck in a pocket knife. And as 212 is blazing up, the thief busts open the door, but she doesn't want to attack 212. She wants to open up the vent above her to go through and see what she can find about this place. And while 212 finds her annoying, she's also pretty curious as to what's going on here, so she tells her, "Look, I'll stand watch. You go get some answers. I'll stay here." And it gets pretty dicey because both women are to the workers at least, taking their sweet time going to the bathroom, so it causes 212 to really put on an act that the guy cannot come in. But when he finally does come in, both women are back, and it does in fact look like she was just blowing up a bathroom. Unfortunately, the thief really didn't get any information. She crawled through the vent system, but all she saw was the workers were cooking something in big containers, and it smelled like sugar. Not a lot of information to go on. As for John Ho, he that night was getting acclimated to life as a worker. He's number 29, and he's been able to discern that there is a pecking order. Squares are very important. Triangles are below them, and the lowest on the totem pole are the circles. And he killed a circle. There's also rules that he has to abide by. Always wear your mask outside. Do not converse without permission, and don't leave the room without permission. There's also a camera in his room that's watching him at all times, so anytime he wants to use the cell phone, he has to be covert about it and use it under the covers. For the time being, he's planning to just kind of bide his time, find out what he can about this place, and hopefully get some answers to what happened to his brother. The next morning, the contestants wake up, they have breakfast, and it's announced that shortly after breakfast, the second game will start. For one contestant, though, he's been tipped off on what it might be. For contestant 111, when he was eating his breakfast, there was a small note in the loaf of bread he was given, and it just said, honeycomb. It's a clue as to what they'll be doing. But it looks like he's the only one that was tipped off. The rest of them seem to have no idea, and when they get to the game arena, they still are pretty confused. There are 4 shapes on the wall. There's a triangle, a circle, a star, and an umbrella. And they're told that they're going to have to choose a shape. And a lot of this does sound familiar, but a lot of them can't place it. One person who does place it is Sang-woo. Sang-woo knows this game. They used to play it as kids. You get a honeycomb that's melted down with a symbol in it. And your job is to carve that symbol out without breaking the honeycomb. The easier symbol is probably going to be the triangle, but the worst symbol to get is the umbrella. Now, even though Sang-woo agreed to be in an alliance, he doesn't tell anybody about this. And he is conflicted. When they all agree to take different shapes, and Sung says, I'll take the umbrella, he is about to stop him, but he doesn't. He just allows him to go take the umbrella. Each contestant then gets in the line of the shape that they want. They're handed a container, and when they open it up, they see the honeycomb and a needle. And for a guy like Sung, he knows he's screwed. Each contestant could have 10 minutes to carve their symbol out of the honeycomb. If it breaks, they die. Doesn't take too long for that to happen. 3 minutes in, the first casualty occurs. And the longer the game goes, the more people die off. All the while, Jun Ho is watching this. But he actually gets caught. A Square employee comes up and asks, what's your duty today? And Jun Ho doesn't really know how to answer that. The Square interrupts him and says, your duties are to carry out the eliminated player, so why are you here now? And all Jun Ho can say is, I'm sorry, I got confused. With the game in progress, the Square tells him, wait here until after the game ends. I want to talk to you. The game, though, continues to go on. And for a guy like contestant 111, it's light work. He picked the easiest one because he knew it was coming. As he's being ushered out of the arena, a triangle tells him not to follow everybody else, but go left. And he's being ushered away to a separate place. He's definitely getting some kind of preferential treatment. He's not the only one that's cheating, though. Contestant 212 snuck her lighter in, and she's using the lighter to cut through the honeycomb. As she's leaving, she drops the lighter right in front of contestant 101. She's still trying to get on his good side, and he's able to use the lighter just like she did to get out of there. The thief, Ali, the old man, Sang-woo, they're all able to complete the task. The last person who's really struggling is Sung because he picked the umbrella. But with about 2 minutes to go, he's sweating profusely. The sweat drips on the honeycomb, and he realizes this sweat softens the honeycomb. So he starts frantically licking it. Because if he can soften it up, he's not going to have to worry about breaking it. With 1 second to go, he is able to complete the task and get the umbrella out of there. For the ones who didn't complete it, they know what's coming next, but one particular contestant isn't having it. He attacks the worker before he's killed off, stabbing him in the mask with that needle, and then grabbing the gun and holding another worker hostage. He's completely outmanned at this point. I mean, it's one versus an army, and that army turns the guns on everybody else that didn't complete the task, leaving him and his hostage. He doesn't really know how to play this, so he demands that the worker he's holding hostage just take his mask off. And he does, and seems to be a kid in his 20s. And he's shocked. He then turns the gun on himself. But he won't be the only person to die, because the front man comes down and he shoots the worker, the one that took his mask off, because that's against the rules. As Jun-Ho is surveying all these bodies that he's supposed to carry out there, he gets a reminder that number 29 is supposed to stay and wait. But he can't answer those questions, so he thinks quickly. The guy that died, he was a triangle. So with everybody preoccupied, he decides to grab his mask and assume his identity. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.